Hello, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news as shock swoop for Manchester United. We've now been linked with Mazraoui of Bayern Munich, the Moroccan right back, formerly of Ajax, played with Ten Hag before. Man United looking at a double deal, trying to offload Wan-Bissaka in competition with West Ham. We've also been linked with Frimpong and Vanderson of Monaco. I spoke to you earlier about the Fofana hijack. We've got Jadon Sancho in talks with PSG for several days and talks are ongoing. We've got the background on that as well. We've also had a bid rejected by Bayern Munich for Ligt. It's all going on. This is a really good evening show. They're always good, but it's more like a morning show. There's so much to get into. Dino says your podcast was goated today, mate. Yeah, check out Goldbridge Saves Football. It's visual on That's Football. It's audio on Spotify. Thank you very much. Mike, welcome to Members Club as well. So loads to get into tonight. We've got a bit of a poll whether you'd be happy with Mazraoui, who we're going to start talking about right at the start of the show. But would you be happy with signing Mazraoui as our right back from Bayern Munich this summer transfer window? Look, you know, I've always wanted it to be Frimpong, but if I'm being honest, Frimpong is expensive, even at 34 million, and there's probably good competition for him. Mazraoui, I think, would be the cheaper option if we're being completely honest. But look, you know, let's get straight into it. Where are we at? There's so much to get into. The Sancho story has developed from this morning into something true. And also there's a lot going on around with the right back situation and the centre back situation and anything else you want to talk about as well. Hinton says Delo is good enough. Hinton, I don't want to get into, you know, these sort of conversations straight away, but bloody hell, we'll do it. Do you know anything about modern football, Hinton, or do you just run hotels? In fact, that's Hilton. You're not even good enough to run hotels because your name's Hinton, not Hilton. My point is, Hinton, if that is your real name, and if it is, I've absolutely destroyed you, I suppose, in some ways, and I apologise for that. It's a nice name. Delo is not enough. You need two right backs. Delo is not enough. Simple as. Anyway, let's get into this. So the story's coming in from Plettigol that Manchester United are interested in signing Mazraoui from Bayern Munich. They are entering the race that West Ham are in. So much so that the words of Plettigol, not me, who is a German journalist, and Bayern Munich are in Germany, so much so that Man United would be willing to lower the Wan-Bissaka fee down to 10 million to enable them to get Mazraoui. So things are moving quick here, and I just don't know. I just don't know about Mazraoui, if I'm being completely honest. I would hope that most of you wouldn't say, who is he? Who is Mazraoui? He is at Bayern Munich. He left on a free transfer a couple of years ago from the Ajax team that Erik Ten Hag had. Remember when we got Ten Hag and we overpaid on Anthony and we overpaid on Martinez, because most of that team left anyway to other clubs. A lot of that team, we paid a lot of money to Ajax for Martinez and Anthony because we were slow. I mean, it's unbelievable, really. We took the Ajax manager and then missed out on a load of their players and had to pay a lot of money. But I think that he left on a free transfer to Bayern Munich. Gravenberch went to Bayern Munich as well from that team. So he's played under Ten Hag. Again, there is that Ten Hag connection. He's not Dutch, he's Moroccan, but 26 years of age. Anderson says we didn't overpay on Martinez. Yes, we did. We're not having one of those shows. I will just cut you down. We did overpay on Martinez. We paid £47 million for an Ajax centre-back. I love Martinez, brilliant player, but you can still overpay. You can still overpay for a player. He wasn't worth £47 million from Ajax. We did overpay. Ineos weren't in charge, unless you're John Murtaugh's bloody godson. Shut up and sit down. 47 million for Martinez was too much 2 years ago. We overpaid. Blame it on the Glazers, blame it on Murtaugh. Brilliant player. Probably worth more than that now, but we did overpay. And we overpaid on Anthony. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Mazraoui went to Bayern Munich. Apparently he's had a few injuries. He was a right back that we were talking about that summer, and obviously he went to Bayern. The strong point of him is that he's 6 foot, which is quite good for a fullback. You know, you want a bit of height, but also ridiculously well, I think about his Ajax days, ridiculously good going forward, creative, very good passer, very, very good at obviously playing Ten Hag's style of football. So I think if I'm correct in saying Plettigol said that Bayern Munich were looking, because he's got a contract, I think, until 2026. So we've still got 2 years left on his deal. I think Bayern Munich were looking for 30 million euros, but no one's come anywhere near it. So what Plettigol is saying is they're looking to lower that down to, 20 million euros, which would be around sort of 20 million pounds to buy him, maybe even about 15 million pounds. So really cheap deal for Manchester United to do that. Raz says he's good on Football Manager, but if this is the way we decide to go, I've got faith in what Ten Hag and the recruitment team are doing, because it's not Murta and Arnold or Woodward anymore. It actually is Ashworth, Barada, Wilcox, Favell, Ten Hag. There's a lot of people involved in this. And if those people decide that Mazraoui is the player to go for, then he's the player to go for. I think it would actually be good, Hinton, for Delot if we went for Mazraoui, because Delot, I think, would be number one. And Mazraoui would be the understudy. So even though he's 26, I think Mazraoui would come in and Delot would be ahead of him. So, I think that works quite well, having him as the backup right back, as you would say. Because if Frimpong comes in, I think there's more of a combination there. But I don't know whether this is just Bayern Munich trying to bring Man United into the equation because West Ham want him, or there is a genuine interest. And as somebody said in the chat there, you've got to trust the process. I mean, we don't like those words, but in relation to the new process, I think we have to give it a chance, yes. Aaron Wan-Bissaka for 10 million and buy Mazraoui for 17 million. I don't get that, says Millsy. No, I mean, this is where I'm a little bit worried about the Plettigol article, really, because Man United lowering the price of Wan-Bissaka to 10 million is a joke. And I'm glad you've picked up on it, Millsy. It's an absolute joke. I don't care whether Wan-Bissaka's got 1 year left on his contract. Eden Hazard had 1 year left on his contract and he went for £80 million. Harry Kane had 1 year left on his contract and he went for a lot of money as well. 1 year is... Wan-Bissaka is worth more than £10 million. Like, he's an established right back. Like, over the last 2 years, it actually has been who is the starting right back for Man United. Delot and Wan-Bissaka have been battling it out. Wan-Bissaka started in the FA Cup final. So he's not some, jobless, crappy right back that we need to get rid of. He's actually decent player, Wan-Bissaka. He just doesn't suit the way that we want to play. You stick Wan-Bissaka in a West Ham team or an Everton team or, a team in the bottom half of the table that does more defending, then he'd be very, very good for them. So he's worth way more than £10 million. So I don't agree with that bit of the story. And then that leads me to believe, is there anything even in this story? Are Bayern Munich just using Man United again to generate interest from West Ham? Because the story goes on to say, if West Ham don't get Mazraoui, they'll go for Wan-Bissaka anyway. So I don't know. Look, it's a developing story and it's an interesting one. And we've certainly not had anything come in as of yet from Fabrizio or Ornstein or anyone like that. But I suppose if Man United want a right back and you want to write about a right back that Man United want, and you know that Bayern Munich want to sell Mazraoui, and you know that he used to play for Ten Hag, it's an open goal story, I suppose. And if it doesn't happen, you can just go, oh well, he went somewhere else. So it could just be nonsense, I suppose, because Sky have got us linked to Fofana and Vanderson this afternoon. They've mentioned that Man United are looking for a Wan-Bissaka right back replacement, and that we're looking at Frimpong and Vanderson. And I've got to be honest, I've got nothing against Mazraoui, but for me, I'd be more excited about Frimpong, certainly. Vanderson I've never heard of. I know who he is. I've never heard of us going after him for a long time, but I think he's younger. Monaco, I think he's about 23, Brazilian, and pretty good going, a very attacking right back again. And I think that's the thing. That's the reason Wan-Bissaka doesn't suit Man United. He's not an attacking right back by trade. He's more defensive. And I think every right back we get linked to under Ten Hag, whether it's this Bayern Munich lad, whether it's Vanderson, whether it's Frimpong, they're all more attacking. And that's definitely the way that we want to go. Marvin says Mazraoui is better than Frimpong. Well, I think 2 years ago, you might have had a case, but it's not gone that well at Bayern Munich, to be honest with you. So I would go Frimpong at the moment, to be honest. Mark, thanks for doing this. Love from India, says Chand. No worries, mate. Why not swap him for Mazraoui and a few million, says Jackie Boy. I don't think Bayern Munich want Wan-Bissaka. Callum says, I reckon if we do buy Mazraoui, buying West Ham's target, I think it will also get them to go after Wan-Bissaka. So, yeah, Callum might be onto something there. I've got my son, Tommy, watching for the first time tonight. Can you give him a shout-out, please? Says Alex. Big shout-out to Tommy. Hope you're enjoying the show. Hope you're a Manchester United fan as well. Mazraoui can also play left-back. He played there with Ajax, Bayern and the Moroccan national team. Very good point, Tahar. He can. He can play left-back. You're right. He can. Good point. Morgan O'Donoghue says, I love the show. If you could have any realistic signing this summer, who would that be? Any realistic signing I could take? Well, get in the chat. Help me out here. Good question. Don't normally get these types of questions. Normally it is Yoro in the Olympic team for France. I would say that if I could have any realistic signing that we're not going to make, bloody hell, it's tough. And that's a testament to how well we're doing in the summer transfer window. You know what? I'm really struggling for one. I mean, I suppose De Ligt. I suppose De Ligt is the one that I really like now. Yeah, I suppose De Ligt is the one that I want. And hopefully it will happen, Morgan. Would buy and sell both and him and De Ligt to us realistically? It's one or the other, I think, says Ray. No, I think Bayern would no. I actually think that this would be a great deal for Bayern. De Ligt and Mazraoui. I think they'd happily do that. I mean, look, I'll talk about the update. Welcome to Members Club, Morgan, by the way. Morgan O'Donoghue, our latest new member. Mazraoui is the perfect right back for Ten Hag's system. Would be brilliant signing for cheap. Hope it happens, says the snail. Thank you very much. 66% of you in the poll are saying that you would be happy with Mazraoui. 34% no. I definitely think that Bayern Munich would be happy to sell us both Mazraoui and De Ligt. Yes, they want to raise money. They've got a lot of players they want to sell. Gnabry's one, Koeman's one, Kimmich potentially one. I don't think they care where they go. If we take two off their hands, I think they'd be very happy with that. And sometimes that can be beneficial in the sense that, look, Ten Hag loves Bayern Munich. I've said to you this before. I mean, I don't know... I'm trying to think now off the top of my head. Onana, Mount and Højlund, Malacia, Casemiro, Eriksen, Antony, Martinez. I've always said that he'll buy players from the Bundesliga. And I don't know, have we bought a player from the Bundesliga yet? I've said it for 2 years. Ten Hag will definitely buy some players from the Bundesliga because he was Bayern Munich's reserve team coach. Like, he loves the Bundesliga. Ten Hag loves the Bundesliga. So I wouldn't be surprised if we bought both, and we might be able to get a better deal out of it, really. Sabitzer came in on loan. Sancho wasn't bought by Ten Hag. But yeah, Sabitzer. Callum, welcome to Members Club. I think the Turkish player Ferdi would solve a lot of issues in the back four, says Z3. Yeah, a lot of you do like this Kadioglu, don't you, as well? Luke Hughes says, I'm baffled why we would sell Wan-Bissaka. I'm not baffled, Luke. I know a lot of people, some people wouldn't sell Wan-Bissaka. I like Wan-Bissaka, but I do think it's the right thing to do because he's a defensive right back, and also it's not just about what you think, it's also about what the player thinks. And I think Wan-Bissaka at his age deserves to be playing first team football 100%. And I think that I think there's some players in our team that should think like Wan-Bissaka does as well, and Camboire did, and start respecting themselves and playing football. Dan John says, evening Mark, loving this summer window. Just ordered your book with priority shipping. Can't wait to dig into it. Thanks for what you do, says Dan John. Look, legends who are pre-ordering the book. We're desperately trying to get into the Sunday Times bestseller when it comes out next week. So if you're thinking about getting it, please do pre-order it. Links in the description. Alistair says, I'm sorry for the stupid question, but I want to understand the FFP. How much can United spend before we could get into trouble? Love content, Mark, says Alistair Robertson. We'll come back to that a little bit later because I want to get into some of the stuff from the start of the show. But remind me about that. We'll definitely come back to it. FFP. Billy Partridge, welcome to the Members Club. So let me just talk about this double swoop then, because this morning, Christian Falk, who is also another German journalist like Plettigol, gave out details of a bid that Man United had rejected for De Ligt, which was £25 million plus 4 in add-ons, which is about 35 million euros. So Man United effectively had a bid of 35 million euros rejected by Bayern Munich. 25 million pounds plus 4 million pounds in add-ons, which is 35 million euros. Bayern Munich are apparently looking for 42 million pounds plus add-ons, which is basically 50 million euros. So in euros, we've offered 35, they want 50. We're not that far off. 42 million pounds off 25 million is 17 million pounds. I mean, Yusuf says that's an insult of an offer from Man United. It is low. I've got to be honest. 25 million plus 4 in add-ons is 29 million. We're having a laugh. That's as bad as the one that we offered for Branthwaite, which was 35 plus 8, which for a British player, you're taking the piss. So, yeah, they're low offers. They are low offers. But, you know, for me, I think De Ligt's probably worth about, you know, if we could get him for 35 plus 10, it's a good deal. But I don't think Bayern Munich are that far off with 42, really, with add-ons on. I don't think we're that far off, because he is still only 24, 25, isn't he? But yeah, I mean, look, you're not going to look. I'm not going to criticise Ineos because they're doing a good job. And look, it's another show, and we're talking about another new player in Mazraoui. So, you know, we've spoken about Fofana earlier on. We can't complain about the amount of genuine business Man United are trying to do, or even the players we're even being linked to. But you can't pay £52 million for Euro and then offer half that for De Ligt. I mean, you're just not going to get away with it. So, and yeah, De Ligt is still only 24. So, yeah, the Euro deal doesn't even help us with that. We're going to have to get realistic. But, you know, some people put a low offer in, and it's a starting point, isn't it? If you put a really low offer in, it sort of negates you from going anywhere near a stupid price, I suppose. But look, I think that deal will get done, and it'll be very interesting to see if this Mazraoui turns into something genuine or not, because I do think the Ligt deal will get done at some point soon. Seems Ten Hag is after players with tenacity like Keane, who will run whole game and aggressively win the ball back. Also creative to push up field quickly, says Replica Sabres. And Dan says, doesn't feel like a player to challenge for right back. Another player to play the AFCON as well, says Dan. Yeah, I don't. I'm going to say this, and we'll find out, because it's only a hunch. I don't think the Mazraoui story's true. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Look, the story's true. It's out there, but I don't think our interest is genuine. Scott Treacher says, Mazraoui stats are awful. Don't get it. Charles is a new member. Welcome to the members club. Yeah, it is Charles. And Brian says, like Wan-Bissaka, but understand moving him on. Mazraoui could cover both fullback positions, which would be fantastic. Sign him up with De Ligt, and I feel our defence is in a really good shape for the next season. And Matt says, in another universe, United announces Southgate as manager. How would our transfer window have gone? Would our targets wanting to be coached by him? Says Matt. Exactly. If Kimmich is available, I hope we go for him. He can play both right back and defensive midfielder. With Casemiro gone and we need a fullback, he will be a utility player, says Siddharth. You might want to watch the video this afternoon, Siddharth, about Casemiro, because it ain't looking good, bruv. Saudi Arabian sources, good sources, are basically saying Casemiro is of interest, but not a major interest at the moment, maybe later in the transfer window. Monze says De Ligt and Mazraoui plus Gutierrez with Maguire, Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka going out the door would be fantastic backline overhaul. Well, yeah, I mean, look, if you think about it, if Man United's back four roster was Dalot, Mazraoui, Shaw, Gutierrez, and then De Ligt, Yoro, Martinez, Evans, maybe Fish. It's not too bad, is it? Maybe you bring someone else in as well. Frimpong is made for Real Madrid, says Funny Memes. Well, he is made for Real Madrid because they attack most of the season, don't they? Because most of the games they play are shit. So, yeah, Frimpong will suit a team that attacks a lot, which is what I want Man United to do, which is why I want him. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about Jadon Sancho. We spoke about it this morning. Fair play to Santi JFM, who works for Foot Mercato, who had the story this morning that Manchester United and PSG were in talks for Sancho. We didn't know whether it would turn out to be true or not. Fabrizio was on with Beth at lunchtime. Check that video out. Spoke about loads of stuff. Really good updates on Bruno and a lot of other things as well. But he did acknowledge that the Sancho story is true. Now, L'Équipe have come out this evening, and their latest update is that Manchester United's Jadon Sancho has been in talks with PSG for several days. It's been going on for a few days. Also, further to that, the reason it's become such a prominent option is because of Kvaratskhelia at Napoli is not going to happen because of the demands that Napoli have made. So Sancho now comes into play as a more realistic option for them on the wing. Also, this is helped by the fact that Man United and PSG are already negotiating a deal for Akate. So although it wouldn't be a swap deal, it makes it easier that the two clubs are working together. So Jadon Sancho is moving closer and closer towards PSG, and we believe it would be a transfer, not a loan deal, which, you know, would be very, very interesting. Now, as I've said before, I think Jadon Sancho in a PSG shirt would do well. I think Mason Greenwood is going to tear it up in the French league. And I think if you put Harvey Barnes in the French league, he'd tear it up as well. And Harvey Barnes is a decent winger. I just think the French league, beyond 5 or 6 teams, is pretty low standard. So I think that, you know, although a lot of people want Sancho to go, and maybe Sancho wants to go himself, I would expect him to actually do quite well at PSG. Because PSG are basically Man City playing against Stoke most weeks in that league. I mean, it's impossible not to win that league. I don't know how Pochettino didn't do it. It's absolutely nailed on. And then you get Champions League as well. And it's only, France is only across the bloody English Channel, isn't it? So I think for Jadon Sancho, this would be a very, very good move for him. And I think it would be a good move for PSG. There's a lot of players at United, though, like that. I think in the past, you're just begging for somebody to sign some of our shit. But I actually think if McTominay went to Fulham, he'd do well. I actually think if Sancho went to PSG, he'd do well. I think if Lindelof goes to wherever he goes to, he'll do well. I think if Maguire goes to a Premier League club, he'll do well. You know, I genuinely think we've got some players that need to move, but would do quite well. And, you know, if PSG buy Sancho offers for about 35 million, 40 million, I think it's a good deal all round. And it's interesting that those talks have been going on for a few days now, because if it does happen, and it's got to happen, of course, but if it did happen, it feeds into what we were saying a week and a half ago when United said that Sancho would be back in training. I don't think that was Man United or Sancho saying, happy families, I'm going to stay for the next 2 years. I think it was, look, whatever happens, it's best for us and it's best for you that you're training. You know, let's not put a label on it. Let's not put a ring on it. Let's just say, if you come back training with a smile on your face and get involved, then it's going to be better for you than if you don't, because you're going to have more options. It's better for Sancho. So I think that, you know, it'll be very, very interesting. And of course, there was interest from Juventus even before he came back training with Manchester United anyway. So there has been interest there. Do I think he'll end up at PSG? You know, if I was Sancho, I'd be a bit nervous about it, because I think PSG may have other options in the fire anyway. So I wouldn't say it's a done deal yet, but I think it would be a very good deal for Sancho if it did happen. Apparently with Napoli, they want a lot of money for Kvaratskhelia, and basically that's priced PSG out. Also, Osimhen might be priced out of a move as well from Napoli. I mean, I don't know what Napoli are playing at. Surely they need the money, although Fabrizio will always say Napoli never need the money. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But, James Hewitt, you won't be commenting again. Mark, other than United, and you're wrong anyway, he's just a complete Poundland. Mark, other than United, what would be another team you would recommend to go and see, says Outdoor Adventures? Well, I'm not going to recommend you go and watch another team. Just go and watch Man United reserves. Sander says that somebody in the chat just said Bruno's off to PSG. You're having a laugh. Sander says, is it realistic to sign Ligt, Agate and a right back, a left back, and also sell Wan-Bissaka and Casemiro? What more can we potentially get done? Ligt, Agate, right back, left back is realistic. Wan-Bissaka and Casemiro is realistic. What we would do beyond that, maybe a second midfielder, maybe a more attacking winger, I don't know. Sebastian says, Mark, who else apart from Sancho can we realistically sell this summer? McTominay, Sancho, Maguire is where we would make the most funds. What are your thoughts? Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, McTominay, Casemiro, Sancho, Eriksen. Yeah, those said Pellistri. You make a few million out of them. Ewan Murray, welcome to Members Club. You're a legend. Thank you very much. Speaking of left backs, says Smoggy Monster. Hope you're doing well, Smoggy. Says, what do you think about the future of Malacia? Probably can't sell him this summer due to last injury. Oh, God. I know it's a dive. Take it to VAR. That was a dive. It was a dive. I admit. If you go to VAR, that's a dive. But I really am not feigning injury. If you know, you know. I can't do another Malacia question. I cannot do another Malacia question. I just cannot do it. I can't do it anymore. Sorry. Can you imagine the British media meltdown if we get another former Ajax player? Let's do it, Angry Brit. Let's do it. And Jackie Boy says, I mean, look at it from Sancho perspective. He'd win more trophies than Man United and be one of the best wingers in the league and can get overhyped. I think, it'd be, as I say, it'd be a good move. Is Malacia training or going to the US? I think people are just doing this on the wind-up now. I'm just going to ignore Malacia stuff. I spoke about it this morning. It's it. Would Blank still have good connections helping with the PSG talks, says Nathan? Yes. And Jeff Evans says, Sancho to PSG could allow us to get rid of his FFP hit and backload the payment for Agate. Also pre-ordered the book. You're a legend, Jeff, and you speak sense. Ross McRae, Magician, says, I've got a ticket for the Brentford game in October. Off work that week, and it's my first time ever attending a game at Old Trafford. I'm beyond excited. Lovely stuff, Ross. And how much time for Rashi before he's benched again, says Sahil. Let's not get negative. Let's not get negative. And Francesco says, sup, Mark? I'm feeling that this De Ligt transfer saga is going to be something like the De Jong one we had last season. No, because there's a big difference. De Ligt wants to play for Man United and Bayern Munich want to sell him. So, you know, there's a big difference there. Do you think Murray or Amas could come through? We might want to use Shaw as a centre-back, says Patrick. Nothing would please me more than Murray or Amas coming through, because they're both fantastic lads. They've got their heads screwed on, and they're decent players. But I don't get the feeling that they will be coming through this year for different reasons. I think Murray will go on loan again, and I think Amas might not quite be ready yet at 17. But I would love it. There shouldn't be any barrier. There are so many players out there that are, good players. Who we hope will have good careers at Man United or elsewhere. I'm watching United in the US. Any chance made for Euro yet? Says Juan. I feel like making one up. But no, I don't know of any yet. Everyone asked about United, but how are you, Mark? Says Ayush. I'm all right, mate. Thank you very much. I'm very tired. I feel like I've got a new, I've had 3 kids that I know of. And when they come home, they keep you up at night, and I feel like I'm having flashbacks with Lila the dog, Puppy, because she was squealing and yelping at 2 o'clock this morning because she needed to go to the toilet. So I forgot, I didn't realise all that. It's a long time since I've had a puppy, so yeah, a bit tired today. But apart from that, good. What do you think Malacia had for tea, says D-Tex? Probably a packet of plasters. And Scotty and Casemiro sold Agata and Fofana in, says Mario Franco. I wouldn't mind that. If PSG wants 70 million, which is overpriced, then what do we want for Sancho to them? Because they're having our pants down, says Brandon. And welcome to Members Club, Sammy. And there was another good question here that I forgot. Ewan Murray, welcome to Members Club. Done that one. Okay, we're all caught up. Rasmus and Eriksen back in training today, by the way. So good that Rasmus is back now. Very, very good to see Rasmus back. Obviously, had a break, hopefully recharged, ready to go. It's very exciting when the players who were in the Euros are starting to come back. I know McTominay's been back a bit, but, he played for Scotland. They hardly were there. But good to see Rasmus and Eriksson back. Obviously, with regards to Eriksson, there is this assumption that he won't be involved much this year. But you know, don't assume anything. It makes an ass out of you and me. It might not be. It might not be that case. But you know, I really do think that. That Eriksson will probably be asking about whether he wants to leave or not. You know? I'm just... somebody said, can you check something out here in relation to the latest news? I can't see anything coming out. Oh, sad news about Dean Henderson. I've just read that on social media that he's announced the passing of his father, which is very sad. Thoughts with him and his family. Bayern originally wanted 30 million for Mazraoui, but are now pushing for 20 to 25 million for him. A realistic price is 15 million to 20 million. There we go. Interesting stuff. Yeah, okay, let me just come back here. Right. As a Bayern fan, says Dennis, I hope United fans appreciate how many of our best from Bayern they're negotiating with. Some of the best work rates in these two defenders. Well, look, I mean, thank you, Dennis, for your honesty. I mean, I know there's a lot of Bayern Munich fans that aren't happy that De Ligt's up for sale, but I suppose all I can say to you, Dennis, is it's a weird one. I hope it works out with Vincent Kompany because I wasn't that impressed with him in the Premier League last year. I suppose it's hard to miss when you're managing Bayern Munich, but then again, Tuchel missed last year, didn't he, against Alonso? So it's not. The last 2 years hasn't been as straightforward for Bayern as it used to be. Love the confidence you have, even if you get the players' names wrong. Also, what are your thoughts on Ineos right now? Hello to Seb, the legend, says Anarud. I think, right, you know, so far so good. We judge it as we move along the journey, don't we? You know, I would say that, you know, Ineos at the moment are a little bit like when I used to go to Cornwall as a kid, probably around this time of year. You know, my granddad, who got me into Manchester United, loved Cornwall, and he'd always book us a cottage down in Cornwall. I say cottage, it was, you know, had about 6 bedrooms because they'd be my family and then my gran and granddad. And we'd take 2 cars, he'd map the route down, and it would always be a Saturday because that was when you got the cottage, and he'd always pick us up at 4 o'clock in the morning because he wanted to beat the traffic. So he'd turn up at 4 o'clock in the morning and with my gran. He didn't leave her behind. I forgot on her, don't worry, she'll be all right. And I'd get in the car and I'd look in the back of the car, and there would be a pillow and a blanket for me to just get into. And I'd get in the car and I'd be like, I'm on the way to holidays. About an hour in, we'd stop at a service station. He'd get me like a bottle of pop and some crisps. Not even 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'd say, so far, so good. No traffic, nice and comfy. He'd have the Gem AM on, so you'd be listening to classic songs. Lovely stuff. The journey so far is great. And that's what I feel about Ineos. The journey so far is great. We've not hit any traffic jams. You know, we've not took the wrong turn. So the journey at the moment is very good and appreciated. I have been asked to talk about FFP and I haven't forgotten. Get Cancelo in for Wan-Bissaka. Imagine Pep's face, says Phil. He'd have to sign it off, mate. I don't think Man City are going to sign that off. Dan Harding says, I think João Neves is going to be a great player, but Ugarte is the kind of player we need now. And João Neves is the player we need in 2 years. If we get Ugarte, I genuinely think that he will become a fan favourite like Martinez very quickly, just because of the way he plays the game. Lovely memory, says Leo. Yeah, I mean, it is. And the great thing about memories is they can't be taken away. Unless you get memory loss, in which case they're gone forever. But I'm not, yeah, well, it's true, isn't it? I think João Neves is going to be a great player, says Dan. But yeah, I think Ugarte will be a good player. I think he'll be a fan favourite if we can get him in. Certainly need that sort of... What Man United need in that holding midfield position is, you know, like Chelsea had it with Kante, we had it with Keane. just an all action all over the place. Prime Casemiro, really, which we sort of got for 1 year and then disappeared. What else is there to talk about? We spoke about that. Fofana's price has gone up again to 35 million euros. It was 17 million euros this afternoon. Man United get involved, and it's now 35 million euros. I mean, I don't know enough about Fofana really. I'll leave it to them. But what I would say is I would like Manchester United to sign 2 midfielders. I really, really would. With regards to FFP, a lot of people have been reminding me about it, but I haven't forgotten. Oh, just before we talk about FFP, I've just got to say this. Thanks everyone who's tuning in. We are absolutely blasting our way to 1.9 million. We wanted to hit 1.9 million for the Fulham game so that we could be on the road to 2 million for this season. Well, if I told you we're only 500 subscribers away from 1.9 million, we're on actually, that's wrong. It's not 898. It's 899,499. So we're only 500 subscribers away from 1.9 million. So we could actually get moving a little bit quicker on this. So please do subscribe, bottom right hand corner if you're new, or if you haven't subscribed, click and subscribe. We're live every night at 8 o'clock, every morning at 10 o'clock. We have a 2 o'clock show as well, and then anything in between, whether it's a late night live or whatever, we're ready to go as always. Thank you everybody for that. So let's talk about FFP. I was asked a question earlier, and that was, great that Man United is spending all this money, but is there any concern about FFP? To which the answer is, I would say not. I mean, you can never be sure, but I would say not, because we are now owned by people who have recruited specialists, and I think it's very clear what Man United are doing, and we've already had a few hints. If our budget this summer transfer window is 100 million, we've actually probably only spent about 25. And people will be falling off the chair going, you're having a laugh. We bought. Well, you're wrong. We've got him. Clip him up on this. Clip him up. Quick, clip him up. We've already spent we've already nearly spent 100 on Euro and on Xerxes, but we haven't. If we've got 100 million pounds to spend this summer transfer window, we've only spent about 25 of it, because we'll have spent about 10 to 12 on Bologna and Xerxes' first year. Remember, he had a release clause that we paid a little bit more to, so we could pay it over 3 years. So we've probably paid a little bit of that, and Euro will have paid 52 million, so we can spread it out over 5 years. So we've probably given him about 15 for Euro as well. So reality is we've bought 2 players, and we've probably still got 60, 70 of 100 million left, and we might have more than that. So we'll be fine with FFP, because what Man United are doing is we are trying to buy players and then to spread the value out, or the payments out, in installments over the term of that contract. So what you try and do is, and quite rightly somebody would say, but that means we've spent all of next year's budget, because next year you'll have the second payment, which will be the same as this year, and there won't be anything left next year. But what you try and do is, in a race against time, is you get rid of the big wages. So if your wage bill is, say, and God knows what our wage bill is, it's hundreds of millions of pounds. But if you raise, with the likes of Varane being replaced by Euro, the wage bill probably comes down by 50% on that deal. So you just start to try and get your house in order. So if you start reducing your wage bill, and you start buying players on cheaper wages, on deals where you pay in installments, eventually you'll get to a point where the installments over the players that you bought 2 years ago aren't impacting your ability to buy another player in installments. So I think that I don't foresee any financial fair play problems for Manchester United, because we're being run in the right way. The first year or two might be difficult as we try and adjust, but long term, I think this will become the norm for how Man United operate. So it should work out fine. I think that's the way it will be, to be honest. Cost says, Ineos are copying my FM24 tactics. Just put a shitload of installments and pay up front crumbs. Born to be a manager, forced to be an engineer, says Costa. Martial has gone as well. Yep. Dayton says Xerxes not good enough. An amazing statement from somebody who's never seen him in a Man United shirt. Smoggy says, hope you recovered from that nasty fall. Anyway, it hurts me how cheap we sold our good youngsters over the years, yet City, Chelsea and even Villa rake in tens of millions. Happy if that improves under the regime. Long-term goals, says Smoggy. Yeah, but you know, when you look at Man City, they've done this a few times. Like, I think Southampton have just given them 20 million for somebody, haven't they? Man City's youth system is good. They loan players. What's the guy who was at is it McAtee or someone like that? Like, I think he was at Sheffield United, and I'm sure he is a Man City loanee. James McAtee, 21 years of age, on loan from at Sheffield United, on loan from Manchester City. Like, there's loads like him. They loan them out to the Championship. They do really well in the Championship, and then they get sold to that team or a lower Premier League club for about 15, 20 million. And they've got Championship experience. So this is what we need to do. There's not many of our young players that go on loan and do well enough to be sold for 10 or 15 million. And that is what we need to start doing. We've got a good youth setup, and there's a lot of good young players, but like, you know, Joe Hugel is going to go on loan. If he goes on loan, we want to get him as high up the league as we can. And if he scores a load of goals, then somebody will probably give us 15 million for him if he doesn't end up being a Man United player. And that's where we need to get to. And I guarantee you, we can talk about how good our youth system is. And we've got people like Garnacho and Mainu coming through. But we actually need to do more volume. You know, those players that don't train with the first team and get first team opportunities need to be going on loan to Championship clubs, doing really well. And then people want to give us 10, 15 million for them. And you have this conveyor belt of, you know, each summer you're making 30, 40 million just on youth players that are being bought up who aren't quite good enough for your first team. And that helps a hell of a lot because it's pure profit. You can, I mean, look, we've just solved it there. If every year you sell a couple of young players that aren't going to be in your first team but have proven themselves in the Championship for 15 million each, that's 30 million per pure profit coming in every summer. That's another 2 signings in year one in installments. And if you do that every year, you know you've got 30 million coming in. That's another signing or 2, isn't it? So that's how it needs to work. But the Glazers and Woodwards and Arnold fucked us for 10 years. And it will take a little bit of time, but we're definitely going to start doing these sort of things. United's first 5 games in the Premier League are Fulham at home, Brighton away, Liverpool at home, Southampton away, Palace away. What are your expectations for those games, says Mikey Boy? I mean, it's exciting. You know, I wouldn't normally look at that and give a shit because, you know, it's felt like it's a long way off. It's not that long now. Look, we've got to be, you know, it's not that far off. It's 3.5 weeks. It's 3 weeks on Friday we play Fulham. We've got to beat Fulham. First game of the season, we've got to beat them because Brighton away will be difficult. Liverpool at home will be massive. Southampton away is a banana skin, and so is Palace. We've got 3 away games in our first 5, and one of our 2 home games is Liverpool. So, you know, if you're a Ten Hag outer, you'd be looking at that and going, this could be good. If you're a Ten Hag inner, you're looking at that and going, Southgate could be in charge by Christmas. So we've got to start well. We've got to start well. I would say Fulham at home win, Brighton away, their first home game of the season, might be a draw. Liverpool at home, draw. Southampton away, win. So that's 8 points from 8 from 12. Palace away, tough game. You know, we might end up with 2 wins and 3 draws. You know what I would say? Unbeaten. Be unbeaten. Be unbeaten. We don't have the City group, though, to be fair, says Dino. But I think we will get on the road to that. Kadioglu has an insane work rate. He plays in what looks like 6 different positions. He's extremely versatile, and I think he'd be a good asset, says Jack. There's certainly a lot of love for Kadioglu in this chat. For me, I just don't really know enough about him. Mark, you forgot the instalments from the previous deals before Ineos. No, I didn't. No, I didn't, Sawn. I said that those instalments from previous deals are there. And obviously, next year, you'll have the second instalments of these. But what I did say is that if you reduce the wage bill, start selling better, then there will always be cash next summer that you can write off against those instalments. So, yeah. Hope you've done that one from Smoggy as well. Sam, thank you very much. I'm just going to hit the live chat here. 66% of you would be very happy with Mazraoui. 34% of you wouldn't. Obviously, that's the breaking news. We'll have to see if that comes out. I get the feeling that we might get some later night stuff tonight. You can never predict it, but I think you can. But, yeah, I just have a feeling that... it might happen. Yeah, I think it might happen. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm just catching up on some news here. Atletico Madrid and Manchester United are trying to hijack the Fofana deal to AC Milan. Well, I've done a video on that already. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. As I said, I think there's been times in the past, summer transfer windows, where we would sit there and say, that's not going to happen. Yeah, but that's not going to happen. Whereas now, I don't think the Mazraoui story is true. That's just my hunch. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's holding up a Man United shirt next week. Like nothing would surprise me with Manchester United at the moment. And although the Fofana deal might just be the agent of Fofana using United to generate a bit of interest, again, it wouldn't massively surprise me if it ended up with him being a Manchester United player, because we just don't know. How will the new players help Rashford, says Sahil? I think you've got that wrong. How will Rashford help the new players? Marcus Rashford is now, 27 at Christmas? I'm sure his birthday is on Halloween or something like that. Let me have a look. Yeah, he's 27 in 3 months. So Rashford needs to be a senior pro, and it's about how he can develop others. Hi, Mark. Is there any chance of a winger if Sancho goes, says Sam? Well, we were looking at Elise on the assumption that Greenwood and Sancho would go. So if Sancho goes, maybe there is. But I would still say Garnacho, Rashford, Ahmad, Anthony, that's 4 wingers. So I don't know. Look, the way it's been said is that this would be, and I said it right in the middle of April, I think this summer transfer window could be the biggest summer transfer window we've had in 20 years. That was a hunch. The way it's playing out, it is. So I think you can read this summer transfer window from Manchester United so far like a book. It's the best book being written this summer transfer window, by the way. No one else is doing what we're doing. But it's very, very obvious that and this makes sense. So Jim Ratcliffe only owns 28% of Manchester United. And he's not getting any younger. And if somebody said to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, we can get this done in 5 years, but if we really go for it, we can get this done in 3 years. He looks like a man that's going, let's get it done in 3 years. Because the sooner he gets it done, the better. And I think that's why, with regards to a winger and a second midfielder, we know we need a winger. We know we need 2 midfielders, but we're just going, well, we probably won't get it done this summer because we've already got loads of other things to do. But I wouldn't write it off. I wouldn't write off 2 centre-backs, 2 full-backs, 2 midfielders, a striker and a winger. I know it's a lot, but you know, why not? Why not do it? And I think if we can do it, why would you not do it? I mean, you're not going to bankrupt yourself to do it, but if there is a way to move the money around, I think we could. Yeah, I think there is a chance of that. We need to get rid of Casemiro. He's a dead weight, says Al3. The problem with Casemiro is it's Saudi or nothing. Like, no one else is going to take him for the money that he's on. Is there any chance of a winger? We've done that from Sam as well. I'm more worried about the homegrown quota, says Action 3. There's no need to worry about the homegrown quota. We did this last week. You've got 17 foreign player positions, and we've offloaded quite a lot of foreign players this summer already, with Martial, Varane and Donny gone. Eriksen will probably go. Lindelof will probably go. Pellistri, Mabry, you know, there's going to be a lot of foreign players that go. We might be a little bit short on homegrown players, but doesn't really matter. You know, you can only have 17 foreign players, and I don't think we'll have any problem, you know, buying a load of foreign players. There's a lot of spaces in it. I can't believe what I've just seen here. Tyler van der Side has gifted 50 memberships. Tyler, you're an absolute legend in the chat. I expect to see a load of W's. Absolute incredible generosity there. Big shout out to Tyler. Thank you very much. Well done. Magnificent. Magnificent. What a legend. The chat loves you, Tyler. There you go. Patrick Lynch says, January is there to close out extra deals too. Yes, I agree. I agree with that. And Mark, if we can't offload Casemiro, does that scupper our chances for Ugarte or Zubimendi, says Mike. Well, it might do. It might do. Financially, it will be a killer for United. I don't even know. The trouble with the Casemiro deal is, one, you want to get rid of the wage. Two, you want to offload the player because he's on the down. And three, he's only 2 years into a 4-year deal where we paid 60 million for him. So there's a loss on the books there, even if you sell him for 30 million because of amortization. So we need to get him off the books, but we can't let him go for free because it'll kill us. Like, we'll lose money on the deal, even though we spent 60 million pounds on him. On FFP, it would go down as a negative, which can't happen. So it's all right saying, I'll just let him go and let's buy Ugarte, but there is still books to balance around the deal. So for me, I think with Casemiro, the best thing we can do is try and get 20, 25, 30 from Saudi Arabia and hope that they'll take him. I mean, 300 grand a week for a Saudi Arabian club is cheap. So that's not the problem. But I also think in the Saudi league, he'd be very good. I mean, I don't really get why Saudi Arabian clubs would look at Casemiro and go, he's fell off. I'd be like, come on, half your fucking leagues fell off. That's the whole point. So, and that's not their fault. They're trying to build a league. But Casemiro in the Saudi league for 300 grand a week would actually be one of their best players. Like, you know, he might not be able to deal with the intensity of the Premier League, but he'd be very good in the Saudi league. So I don't know why that deal wouldn't happen. I still think it will happen, but obviously it's not moving as quick as maybe some people thought. Damien says, hi Mark, my birthday today. I'm feeling positive. Happy birthday, Damien. Hope you've had a great day and continue to have one as well. And Anthony Maycock says, if Onana keeps conceding soft goals like last season, do you think Ten Hag will be under pressure to drop him? Well, Anthony, we've not even started the season yet, so he's not conceding any goals, is he, at the moment? But I think it's a big season for Onana. And I expect he'll do a lot better with a proper back four in front of him. There'll be no excuses then, effectively. Who's on your fantasy Premier League, says Mo. Not started it yet, but we will be starting one and it'll be going through the podcast. So make sure you check out Goldbridge Saves Football, a cracking episode today. We were talking about how, which actually talking about whether Man United can win the league and where we could be in relation to that. So check out Goldbridge Saves Football. It is out and to be listened to. You can also visually watch us in the Goldbridge Arms on That's Football, which is the episode of the podcast, but visually. Chris says we have to get 34 million for Casemiro to break even. Yeah, so it's problematic. It is problematic. Love Island leavers time, says Philip. Well, I'm not off to watch Love Island. I'm off to watch something else, and it's not porn either. But I am about to finish the show, so you don't need to worry about that. Fantastic show tonight. Please do subscribe. We could be hitting 1.9 million before we even play the Arsenal US tour, which would be amazing to do that way ahead of schedule on that final road to 2 million if we do. But you're a brilliant community, as always. It's been a fantastic show tonight. I've really, really enjoyed it. A few people talk about the T-shirt. I think there's links in the description. You can get that from United Stand Shopify, of course. And what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, just a push for the book. Links in the chat or just scan the QR code. It's coming out next week. So pre-order now. You're only waiting a week for it anyway. So please do pre-order it. It ships worldwide with Amazon. You can pre-order the Audible book, which I'm looking forward to listening to. That's going to be really weird, walking around on a walk listening to myself. There's signed copies through WH Smith. There's also a competition to enter when you buy a book where you can win an evening in the Goldbridge Arms with 30 other people. I won't be there. No, I will. Bring your book. I will be there. So yeah, just scan the QR code, click the Penguin link. You can buy your book through there and you can fill in the form. But please do pre-order it. We've done so many things over the years. The charity streams where we've raised over £200,000 in the last few years. The live shows, which were a bucket list. Playing at Old Trafford. There's so much this community has achieved. But if we can get the book when it comes out in the top 10 Sunday Times list, that'll be framed behind me as an achievement for us. So if you're going to get the book, please pre-order it because that will help us in week 1. Thank you everybody for watching. Absolute legends. Take care. Stay safe. We could be back live again tonight if something breaks, but if not, it'll be 10 o'clock in the morning as always. Have a great day. Don't forget to check out the Romano interview with Beth. There was so many updates on there, all about Bruno and other stuff as well. And I'll speak to you all in a bit. Take care. I can't make any fucking comments on it.